90.3 WHPC now presents Law You Should Know. The law affects every aspect of our lives, our home, our jobs, and our recreational activities. Now, learn about the law and how to protect yourself against the loss of your liberty or property, and learn how to stand up for your rights and seek compensation when you have been wronged. Your host for Law You Should Know is attorney Kenneth J. Landau, a past dean of the Nassau Academy of Law, and frequently lectures to lawyers on ethics and avoiding problems with clients, and to the public on how to choose and use lawyers. This is Law You Should Know on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hi, this is Ken Landau, and welcome to Law You Should Know. Today, we're honored to have Victoria Wick. She's a jewelry designer and an entrepreneur. She's made millions and millions of dollars as an entrepreneur, but today she's going to tell us how lawyers and others can better market themselves so they appeal to high-end clients such as her and the other clients who really can use lawyers out there. Victoria, welcome to Law You Should Know.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be here, and thank you for inviting me to your show.
Now, what, as a client, did you find that lawyers made it too complicated, made it too legalese, or didn't get to the point quick enough? Do you feel that one thing that lawyers can learn from you, it's important to get to the point, get quickly to the relevant information? Absolutely.
I think the simpler they make, the problem at hand, the risk that the risk factor that you're facing, and approximately what is it going to take time and effort in terms of, money and the amount of time it takes. And are there other options? I mean, these are just a few things that we need to know to make decisions, right? So I would love it if lawyers can make it really simple. I mean, even language, just make it simple so that a fifth grader can really understand it, because, you don't want to be confused. Confused customers don't buy, Ken. That's the first thing.
That's true, even when it comes to a cell phone. Should the lawyers start sharing their expertise early, and how quickly should they do that, and how much should they do that?
I think the best thing is to not wait until your client's in trouble looking for information, because at that point, they're just being selective about what they hear from you. If you start sharing your expertise, you go out, you guest blog, or you start your own blog, you go on speaker, just go and just, offer it, like getting on a podcast, anything to just share what you know, and maybe even some of your clients' experiences as somebody you've helped before. That makes it very memorable because you're already serving us out there. So you'd be the first person they would call. And you'd be the first person that we would trust because we've heard you, over and over. So I think that you should start sharing your expertise pretty early.
And do you want your lawyer to tell you the next big thing that you have to prepare us for or take advantage of?
Absolutely. Prevention. A lot of times we don't know what we don't know. So when a lawyer tells you, hey, watch out for this, or if you're going to come up with a new skincare, you need to have all the right disclaimers. Even if they don't tell you what the disclaimers are, knowing that fact will save us a lot of time. And so when we do get in trouble, you'd be the first person we would call.
And you also may need patents to protect your ideas, or other trademarks, and to do a search and to just check on health regulations, medical regulations, etc.
Right. I live in California, so you can imagine the amount of legal stuff that I've had to navigate in my business. So I would say you're right that a lot of entrepreneurs, the first thing they want to do is protect their copyright, their intellectual property, and yet they talk to everybody about their stuff before they get legal advice. So I would say that a lawyer who kind of clarifies the differences between all the different intellectual properties, for example. Again, the more information that we have as a beginner, I'm not a beginner entrepreneur, but I actually work with a lot of them. They cling on to every piece of information you give them. So when they do need a lawyer, they are more willing to pay more money to you because you sound like a real expert they can trust.
And you've got to give the headline that they can quickly understand and accept, which might be protecting your ideas. Right. Rather than the intricacies of patent or trademark law, you may not even know which applies, but you do want to protect your ideas.
Right. You do want to protect your ideas. You want to, because that's the best thing you have as an entrepreneur. You have a lot of passion. You have original ideas. So, coming up with, and the other thing I would say is if you don't know how to, come up with a tagline, today on social media or even on Google or Facebook, you can literally buy an ad for $10 on Facebook. We can run 5 different ads or 5 different storylines post with different tags, and you'll see which one performs.
And you can almost have a little focus group. It can be colleagues in a networking group. It can be some friends who are sophisticated enough about that market and run it on, again, talk to them about it, see what works with them.
That's true. And you know what? In today's society, this is a known fact. You can actually run a focus group on your social media or, on any other platform, LinkedIn or whatever. And if you get 20 opinions from true, people that are not related to you, not your friends, your family, you're going to get a focus group that's pretty much dead on, like it's almost the same as getting a 2,000 people opinion. So these are all free platforms. So, when you share it, do it, different days, different taglines, slightly different content. You can even do it 15-minute focus group to 45-minute, just vary it and see what works. Because, once you test it and then you build it, then you accelerate.
And what are some other ways that lawyers can make money for themselves by providing advice, ideas, business ideas? What are some other things lawyers can do?
I wish that there are lawyers, reputable lawyers who would sell like subscription-based information. It could be $39 a month, $100 a month, or whatever, where you can go and plug into the webinar series you might have. Like you might just do it once a month, but all of that information saves entrepreneurs time and money. And also, we go out to the world with a little bit more confidence rather than, in other words, if you don't have any information, we are either leading blind or spending a lot of money for just basic information. So anybody who provides, you could have a downloadable online course on, how to do, simple, let's say copyrights are pretty easy to do, by the way, and patent trademarks. So anything that you can share in terms of like basic contracts, a lot of us don't need complicated, 100-page contracts in the beginning of our process. So, somebody who could come up with simple things that we'll be willing to buy. Remember, if you do it like a free webinar and you get 100 people and you get 50 of those people to buy a $50 thing, number one, you're getting some money now, but number two, those people are going to be your future clients because they're already invested with you.
And you don't want to make it free, but you want to give them information that they can use at a discount. But since you're giving the same advice to 50 people, you can afford to give it to them for $50.
Right.
Instead of billing them $1,000 an hour. Right.
And if you get, 100 people there, $50, that's, quite a bit of money already. You're going to get, it's going to be like a 1-hour webinar. So it pays you, upfront, and it also pays you because some of those people are going to be your clients. So it's good for marketing and it's good for your income stream. And it also establishes you as an expert. Right, exactly. And, if they, here's the other thing, if they attend a webinar and they don't need you right away, maybe they don't have a patentable product or maybe they don't have a will that they have to do right now, whatever. They will still talk about it and say, oh my God, I got this free webinar, or I did a $50 webinar the other day and I got, $2,000 worth of information from this guy. So, let me help you go sign up. So they're going to, basically be your advocates for future webinars, or maybe they know someone who needs help now. So the thing is, you're getting some advocates to talk about you. Instead of paying thousands of dollars for a consultation for your business or your personal affair, you're paying less and getting general information that you can use, and you can get further information and help when the time comes. Right. And so the more information you share, the more they need you. And, you'll get some people that just need a little help, and you'll get some people literally, currently in a lawsuit or facing one or fear facing a lawsuit. And so you'll get, people, and then you can also do those series, like a webinar, do a whole series of them. So you give them information this month on, at the beginning, and in other words, you could do a whole series of them, break them up. So the more times they face you, the more they're, like, for example, if you're buying like a Tesla, they check out the car like 25 times before they buy it. Very few people actually buy it the first time. Lawyers are very similar. You want to get to know them. You want to feel like they actually empathize with your situation because, it could be very expensive and emotional if you're really looking at a real legal, issue that you have to deal with. So using your Tesla analogy, it's almost like they're taking you for a test drive by attending your seminar. Yeah, exactly. And did you know that Tesla, it took, that's a very important point. A lot of Tesla showrooms are actually in city centers as opposed to 40 miles away, so that people can come at lunchtime and check out, the wheels, or the next time they have a 15-minute break and they'll check out the dashboard. So they specifically have it so that they have 25 touch points before they actually sell the car. So following that rule, if you do, continue to offer the different facets of your life, your business, and how you approach, because, I would say really successful lawyers that I've ever worked with, and I've had a lot of them, they're very creative people. They know how to come up with solutions that are creative, even though you would think the law is all the same. And so, you can kind of really build a relationship before, all throughout the process, before they become your client, and when they are your clients. And then when they don't need you anymore, they still talk about you to other people.
And I think it's interesting you describe lawyers that way. When I give seminars to lawyers on marketing, I tell them they're really a problem solver or a problem preventer, whether it's to a corporation or to an individual. That's what being a lawyer is about. You've got to alert people before how to prevent problems, or if they have a problem, that you are the person who can help solve it for them.
Right, exactly.
Are there other things lawyers can do aside from just practicing law to help their income stream?
The one thing I really would love all the lawyers listening right now to embrace the thought is, I like, lawyers who really take the time to build a relationship, engage with your, potential clients, engage with everybody because you have amazing influence and impact in entrepreneurs' lives, or just everybody's lives. We all need in our society now some protection, legal protection. We want to do business with lawyers who we can fall in love with, who we like, respect, and we can relate to, that happens to be an expert. So anytime you can do that, be personable, be likable, be relatable, don't use fancy language, don't, and when you meet somebody for the first time, don't, try. A lot of times when you come as a lawyer and you've come with these fancy degrees and then you say fancy things, then it's more intimidating than, inviting, I would say. And
as a well-heeled client, do you like to hear war stories from a lawyer, or do you like a lawyer who interviews you like a doctor? How are you feeling today? What are your potential problems? What are your goals?
Right.
What works best for you?
I love the second person that you described, and they were really, really great. I've had to negotiate some of the biggest contracts with the toughest people, like HSN. They're a multi-billion-dollar company, and they had a whole floor of lawyers. So I knew going in we were really disadvantaged, but I had a great lawyer who explained to me, that what are your goals? What are the absolute non-negotiable pieces here? I'll get you as much as you can, and what are the things you're willing to compromise on? And, she really gave me more than what she also said, look, you're dealing with the biggest company out there. So you're not going to get everything you want, but we'll get you more than what they wanted to give up.
And that's a very good way of looking at it. And she managed your expectations and gave you realistic expectations.
Yeah. And I did walk away with, at that time, the biggest contract ever written. So that was, for like a TV network station. So she did a really great job with that. And she was extremely likable. And then when I left the network, same thing. I actually walked away with an exit contract. And that was a little tougher. But again, the team of lawyers that I had, we had to negotiate like who owns which copyrights and all that other stuff. But again, she really, I trusted her. She
and
told me. And
you felt she cared about you. She wasn't just charging you money. She was trying to leave you in a better place.
And you know what, Ken? She gave me a strategy. She said, okay, what's going to happen is, you're going to start to write some emails. We're going to start to document, this or that. So she was actually not even involved. She said, I'm advising you, but I don't want the lawyer on the document, because then they're going to put their lawyers on. So let's get through as much as you can. So, again, like we had a strategy. She gave me all the options up front, what my risks were and what I'm going to be likely to get away with. And again, when I exited, I got away with more than I thought I would.
And she wasn't just, that's why some lawyers used to say attorney and counselor at law. So she was a counselor to you. She was an advisor, and that was more pertinent to you at that time than a Rambo lawyer.
True. And you know what, though, Ken? I want to say that exit contract was, my legal fee was pretty close to $100,000. It was not a small deal here. But what I had risked there was 15,000 different copyrighted designs and stuff that I had to protect. So, and the size of the business was, quite large. So to me, that was a really great situation, because if I were in a lawsuit, you know what the costs are over there.
And right, as you're trying to you have negotiation to avoid disputes, and you can also have negotiation to resolve litigation.
Right,
because that's going to leave the parties perhaps whole and able to move on and perhaps deal with each other in the future. Litigation just causes a lot of people money, and it sometimes no one's happy except the lawyers
and their kids
and their kids.
Yeah, you know what, though? I think that, really, I think you hit it on the nail. This lawyer, she kind of partnered me in on this. She respected me enough to, give me all the options, what my choices are, and let me take the risks, based on the accurate information she gave me. And I kind of carefully took them. And both times when I entered it and when I left with more than I thought, more than she thought she could get for me.
So so a lawyer should always manage expectations of the client, so they look like they're doing a good job.
Yes. And also communication is really important. I never had any trouble getting a hold of her. The lawyer I had before, they were on vacation in Spain, or they were this, I'm like, okay, you're on vacation, that's fine. But like, get somebody else to, answer my questions or do something. Like, I can't be waiting 3 weeks this time. And then, he comes back for 2 weeks and then he's got another week for some convention. And
timely communication is something lawyers should take to heart. I just want to remind our listeners that we're talking with Victoria Wick. She's an entrepreneur, as you can tell, and she's telling us about how lawyers can better market themselves, and for entrepreneurs, how they can better deal with their attorneys. You're listening to Law You Should Know on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College in Garden City, Long Island. If you missed any portion of this program, or you want to hear it or tell someone else about it, you can go to the podcast at nccradio.org. You've also told about other ways lawyers can market themselves aside from doing legal work. One of your ideas is that lawyers can have a subscription-based legal service. And why does that work out for lawyers and their potential clients, and how can they set that up?
Yeah, so for the lawyer, this could be an easy, like a sales funnel. Again, you're paying so almost like an insurance for the future. But if I had a question, for example, I want to do my own copyright of my book, or because there's all these, how do you do this stuff on your own? But then, a lot of those self-help type things, like you get so far and then you're stuck. So you want to be able to call a lawyer and say, I went this far and I'm stuck. And so let's say for like an hour a month or something, an hour a week, that you can have a subscription-based service. The lawyer, a lot of times you don't need a lawyer for that month or next month, or you're getting sort of like insurance income there. But when they do need it, the entrepreneur can have access to the lawyer without having to pay, $1,000 an hour.
And this would really be for advice. So if you have advice about something, you want to run an idea by the lawyer, you have someone you can call and get reliable advice.
Right. And you can tier it too. So you can have a $99, a year program, because a lot of people don't need a lawyer right away. You could have a $2,500 a year program for a business that's a little medium, like a 7-figure business that really hasn't had to deal with, serious law problems. But again, you can do, even the $99 a year, you're still getting list of clients who that are concerned about protecting their legal rights. So that becomes a great sales funnel for you, great pool of people that you can communicate with and build a community with too.
This gives you that income stream, and this also gives you potential clients.
Yeah. And, the other thing I was going to say is going back to about caring about people. I had an intellectual property lawyer that I, have a great relationship with. One day they called me and said, I know you're on TV. I've got, these other people that invented, X, Y, Z. And, what is the likelihood of this person ending up on TV? Can you just would you mind just giving them some, advice? I ended up getting that person. It happened to be an amazing product. I ended up getting that person on TV. So now this lawyer becomes his hero. right? Like, their business, their client just basically got their patents and everything just filed, and now they have a multi-billion-dollar business. They can then take that story. So now this lawyer actually now has like a monthly meetings with all their clients where they kind of built a community of people that help each other. So again, now, ever since then, I tell all my students, everybody else, if they ever need an intellectual lawyer, go to, this company, because these people go above and beyond the legal service. I mean, they love their clients.
So it's good for lawyers to help their clients network with each other. And in turn, their clients will probably send other clients their way. Exactly.
The whole point is just care. Care about people, go above and beyond. And you'll be amazed at what people are willing to do for you.
And as you said before, it's also important to be responsive, to their calls, their concerns, etc.
Absolutely.
Is it also important for lawyers to identify their target audience, who they want to appeal to?
Absolutely. I mean, if you're an intellectual property lawyer, your best bet would be, people, inventors conventions. There are people, I think 66,000 patents are applied for by individuals every year by the USPTO office. People who do, copyright. So if you're an intellectual property lawyer, that would be your best source. If you are a tax lawyer, obviously, your pool of people could be CPAs, referral service. So understand who you're talking to, even in, like a contract law. If your specialty is in real estate, you're not just going to go to anywhere and talk about it. You want to go to where commercial real estate people, landowners are. So understand who your target market is. So don't make it sound like you're talking to just a general public, make it very personal for them. I think it was Tim Ferriss who said that you don't need 4,000 people. You only need 400 people who are going to be advocates for you to build a multi-million dollar business. And I think in lawyers' case, you just need maybe 40 people, to start with. If they're really, because every person who's really happy with you will tell 10 people. So there's your 400.
Is it important also for lawyers to emotionally connect with their target audience? And how can they do that?
If you don't emotionally connect with your target audience, you won't have a long-term relationship with your client. It just becomes a transactional thing. So emotional connection is, you really have to get people to like you as a person. So, smile, just don't make it about you, make it about them. So every time you use the word I, you need to use the word you several times. You might say something like, Ken, you have an amazing show. I love the way, you invited me and followed up. And, I love all these things that you do. And I love the impact you make. And I like the fact that, I could come here and talk. So I use the word I one time. So one I to every 5. So the word you is the most powerful word in marketing, as opposed to free. It's much more so than free.
Even that networking event or that lecture or that initial meeting, it's important for the lawyer to talk to the client, but ask them, how can I be of help to you? What are you going through? What's your story? What's your next step? Where would you like to be in 5 years?
Be the most active listener. So like you said, if you go to a party and somebody says, hey, what do you do for a living? Instead of saying, I'm a lawyer, I went to, MIT or whatever. If you say something like, don't judge me because I'm a lawyer. I have a friend who does that. Don't judge me because I'm a lawyer. I actually grew up in a very, broken home. My parents just sued each other and I was broke. And so I had to kind of work my rear end off to get through school. And now that's why I'm an advocate for children, and I specialize in family law, but I'm an advocate for children.
Can you also say I help people too?
Yes, I help people.
You're a helper. You help people do this.
I help people
sell their business, to protect their assets with a will, to defend them if they're accused of DWI, whatever it is. You help people or business to do something.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So again, if it just even right now, if you have a website, go through your website and see how many times you use the word I or we versus you. Instead of saying, for example, we're fourth generation lawyers or whatever, you might say, hey, if you've been looking for, if you're in trouble or if you're looking for something and you come to the right place, use the word you twice now. You're validating their choices already by choosing to come to your website.
Okay,
first.
we're going to come back to websites, what it's good to put on it and what it's not good in a moment. I just want to mention that we're talking to Victoria Wick. As you can hear, she's an entrepreneur. She's explaining how lawyers can better market themselves, and she's used many lawyers, and she's told you why she likes them. You're listening to Law You Should Know on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. If you want to hear this program again or tell someone else about it, just find the podcast of this and many other programs at nccradio.org. You were about to say buzzwords, words that will open up a client, words that will ingratiate a client towards you, make them like you more. What are some of those other words?
Really validating, just asking questions, like you said earlier, how did you get started? What does your business, who do you help? Who's your target audience? And what keeps you up at night? And what are you excited about this year? They'll tell you, things like, I'm so excited about growing, blah, 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 but I got to hire new employees and I don't have employee forms. Or, they might say something like, I want to launch this new product and, I'm just not sure if, I can sell if this is ingestible or whatever. So if you just simply ask, have a dialogue about them, they will share with you. They put their guard down and they will share with you all of their concerns. And that's your opening.
And is it okay for lawyers to say, I have some other clients in this industry and I've helped them too?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's like the best testimonial. We love testimonials. I'm going to not get into a website yet, but yeah, we love testimonials or past clients that you've helped that are, a similar situation because, you've kind of seen the road before and you have success stories.
And what you were talking about websites before, what information would you like to see on a lawyer's website that would be helpful and of interest to you, being a sophisticated entrepreneur?
I think that, sort of showing why you do what you do, why you're good at what you do, and what your passion is. When your passion is about helping small business owners or, helping single moms struggling, to, basically, if your target market is a small to medium business, you're going to talk that way. The other thing, too, is a lot of times when you write about you, like the About page, there should be a video of you welcoming, hey, welcome to, Ken Landau, radio show. Here, if you look like you're laid back, but you really know what you're talking about and, you're dressed like you look like somebody you can relate to, could have dinner with, that's so much more effective than having paragraphs of things that you have to read.
And tell us about what other information is on your website.
The testimonials from for lawyers, the testimonials from other clients, that's huge.
No, but Victoria, your own website, if lawyers or entrepreneurs or someone else out there wants to find out more information about your programs, your podcast, tell us about how they can find out more information about you and how they can find out more about your podcasts.
Yeah, so I have a podcast titled $1 Million Passion. I help people turn their passion and purpose into a multi-million-dollar business, including lawyers. And so you can come to milliondollarpassion.com, or you can, and also you can listen to the podcast $1 Million Passion, or you can come to victoriawick.com. And I do have a lot of free webinars on creating 6-figure income streams for professionals as well.
I wish we had some more time, but I would like to thank Victoria Wick for being our guest on Law You Should Know. If you've missed any portion of her podcast or want to tell someone else about it, just go to nccradio.org and please join us again next week here on 90.3 WHPC for another program on Law You Should Know.